Hello there, welcome to the continuation of our tutorial on JavaScript. In today's class, we're gonna be looking at JavaScript arithmetic operators. So we already looked at the JavaScript operators, arithmetic operators, which include the addition, subtraction, multiplication, exponentiation, division, modulus, increment, and decrement. So we just want to look at just some basic examples of how to use these operators. They are pretty straightforward. So for example, if I come to my console, again, to open your console on your computer, you press Control Shift I, right? And you could clear your console like this by clicking on this clear button. Okay, so what I want to do now is that I want to declare a variable called x and maybe set it to 5. I want to declare another variable called y. If I say y equal to maybe 8, I press the enter key, it gives me the value of y. Now I want to declare another an expression, say maybe z is equals to x plus y, and then I press the enter. Now you can see that the value of z is 13. If I say z equal x divided by y, the value is 0.625. I can still say z should be equal to x asterisk y, that's multiplication. Okay, the value is 40, yes. And I can as well say z should be equals to x exponent y, like this. So that would be like 5 raised to the power of 8, giving us 390,625. Okay, modulus, I can say z should be equal to x modulus, which is the percentage sign y. I wonder what that will give me. 5. So 5 divided by 8, of course it's gonna return 5 because x is smaller than y, so it will be 0, right? Okay, so basically what we're gonna be looking at now is operator precedence, which I feel is very important. Now, operator precedence describes the order in which operations are performed in arithmetic operation. Take, for example, if you look at this expression here, you might be confused on whether to say to add 150 first, then multiply by 3, or no, multiply 50 by 3 first, then add 100. Of course, both ways will give you different results, right? For example, if I say 100 plus 50, that's 150. 150 times 3, that's like 450, right? But if I say that's 450, if I say 50 times 3, that's 150. I mean, yeah, 150 plus 100, that's 250. You see, both ways gives different results. So operator precedence is a very important terminology to take note, because when you are performing an arithmetic operation, the operator precedence determines the end result of that expression. Okay, so is the result of the expression this or this? In addition, yeah, as in, so now multiplication comma division, they have higher precedence than plus and subtraction. What this is telling you is that, what this statement is saying is that what's gonna happen here is that JavaScript is gonna perform these two first. It's gonna work on this guy first, on this multiplication first, then before going over to addition. Why? Because multiplication and division have a higher precedence over addition and subtraction. Okay, so therefore, what about division, I mean addition and subtraction? Of course, they all have the same precedence. Now, to enforce, look at this, to enforce that JavaScript work on this, if this was your intention, then you need to alter the precedence by enclosing these two in what? In a bracket. Now, what this does is that bracket itself has a higher precedence over multiplication. So you are now telling JavaScript that, look, do this one first, then you can now come and multiply by 3. So what the engine is gonna do is that it's gonna add 100 to 50 to give you 150, then it will multiply by 3. Okay, but if you leave it without this bracket, what it's gonna do is that it's gonna execute the multiplication first, then it will now add the 100. Okay, so now this is the JavaScript operator precedence. You can go through this and then you'll be able to know. So this guy has a higher precedence over, so the precedence is from higher to lower, right? So it has a higher precedence value to lower. So bracket has highest, so it's called expression grouping, and then you can now group like this. Also, whatever happens, JavaScript must always start from the bracket. So it must execute what is inside the bracket before executing what is outside of that bracket. Okay, then the dot, that's the next in the operator precedence. Then it has a higher operator precedence than this guy, and this guy has a higher than a function call. Then this before the increment, this is postfix increment. So postfix increment has a higher precedence than a prefix increment. Now, what is the difference between postfix and prefix? Now look at this. If I have a variable called I say I should be equals to 1. Now, if I say I plus plus, what this is saying is that increment I, but only after you have used the value of I, right? So this like post increment, so it will make use of the value of I, and then it will increment it. That's why you can see that my I is 1, but after giving me my I, it's gonna now increment. So that's post. So after giving me the value of I, then it's gonna increment the value of I. So currently the value of I is what? Is 2. So if I say I, you can see the value of I is what? Is now 2. Now, however, if I say plus plus I, which is this is prefix increment I, and I press enter, the value of I will become 3, because this means increment the I before making use of it. So prefix increment. So it incremented it and then gave me 3, and so the value of I becomes 3. So that's the difference between postfix increment and prefix increment. So the postfix increment has a higher precedence than the prefix increment, like that. Okay, so we're gonna stop here today, and we continue in our next video.